Okay. Harvey, you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Well, you could. Nobody would listen, but you could.
Okay, while we're getting organized, I will do the learning sponsors and then go right into the daf for today. Year of Learning by Sue and Arnie Garlick in memory of Malka Proman and Philip Mann. And Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Beryl ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Yosef Meir ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Henya Rivka Pro Rosner bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch. And in memory of family murdered in the Holocaust. Harav Tzvi Hirsch ben Shlomo Yaakov, Sarah bat Ephraim, Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Ephraim ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Adia bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Miriam bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Pesel bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shalom ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shlomo Yaakov ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch. Sharon and Fred Lisker, their family and many friends. In memory of her dear mom, Harriet Friedman, Edel Bas Yaakov. Leslie and Gail Kaplan, in memory of their parents. Harry and Marjorie Sedell, Irving and Pearl Kaplan. Friends of Avi Gitler, Avram Meir ben Shimon, and Martha Gitler, Charna Bat Yeshaya. Children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Toby Peres, Saratova Bat Yisrael Dov in her memory. Friends of Joe Wolf, Yosef Ben Chaim, Charlie Gelfenstein and Sam Levine, in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Mata Bat Asher. Friends of Nina Monesta, Nechama Azna, Bat Yitzchak Aharon. Many friends of Stephen Vigdor, Lezecher Nishmat Simcha Melech Ben Meir Leib Halevi. Friends of Marcy Kurtz, in memory of her great niece, Leah Bracha. A Month of Learning by Stanley Presser, in memory of his mother-in-law, Golda Bas Leber, his mother, Leah Bas Yehuda, and his wife, Ruchel Mincha Bas Moshe. Carol and Josh Sanborn, in memory of her father, Yehoshua Shia ben Moshe Yehuda HaKohen. David and Sharon Carpel, in memory of his fathers, Ev Moshe ben Shlomo Yaakov. B. Pizer, in memory of her mother, Razel Bat Shammai. Children of Grace and Julius Rosenzweig, Barbara Rottenberg, Ann Berezin, Judy Friedman, Alan Rosenzweig, in memory of Roz Greenberg Haskell's special birthday. Mel and Haran Haller, in memory of his mother, Fega Bas Yaakov. B. Pizer, in memory of her stepfather, Avram Michal ben Shmuel Halevi. A Week of Learning by Judy Schiff, in memory of her mother, Chaya Chava Bas Menachem Mendel, by Tema Harrisburg, in memory of her husband, Suriel ben Rachmiel Halevi. Sharon and Jerry Ness, in honor of Roz Greenberg Haskell's special birthday. Today we have a Day of Learning plus Torah Fund by Marvin and Shirley Weinstein, in memory of his father, Yisrael Aaron ben Naftali Hertz. A Day of Learning also by Arthur Wright Ritholtz, in memory of his father, Baruch Leib ben Zev HaKohen, by Sandy and Sidney Goldschmidt, in memory of her mother, Tzivia Bat Avraham Martijahu, and by Sally and Joel Flamholtz, in memory of her mother, Cyril Bat Shlomo Zayler. May the Neshamas have an Aliyah, Krank Rafia Velti Yashir Hashem Atzliah, and the Chol B'nai Yisrael a good gebencht year. Okay. Okay, a reminder that the Siyum today is at Century Grill at 4:00. Okay, sharp. Okay, and
if anybody still wants to go, they can. No
Right.
problem.
okay, Yaakov Jacob, I don't remember his last name, may come. Okay, he comes on Shabbos to the daf then. All right.
But no davening today at the.
We're coming back to daven in the shul. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stay for the siyum. Then I'm going to take my meal as a takeout. And
No, you could be back for the.
I've got other things that I've got to, okay, juggle. I have a, right?
That's why we should all be there even before 4:00 to start exactly.
Okay.
What's the, ask the question why he's doing it.
When that you tell Avi that you, okay, then you won't get up there.
Yeah. Okay. we're going to be starting today on just 2 lines up from the wide lines.
What is,
Okay, where the page gets wide, you go 2 lines up.
next to the word hydronola.
Okay, it's pretty much right next to hadranalach. Okay, that line, the last word in the line is Tanu Rabbanan. Okay, is where we're going to pick up. Okay, right. So that's where we'll proceed from there. Okay, and then we're going to go, but we're not going to finish the daf. That we'll do this afternoon. Okay. Okay. Tanu Rabbanan.
Right?
I have the handouts. In fact, I may even have them. No, those I will bring them with me. Okay. That's why I said I got a busy day today. Tanu Rabbanan. Kashemetu banav shel Rabbi Yishmael. When the sons of Rabbi Yishmael passed away. Okay. All right. And Harvey, I see you. Anybody else on? Okay. All right. Nichnesu arba kenim lenachama. 4 of the other sages came to bring condolences. Who were they? Rabbi Tarfon, number 1. Rabbi Yossi Haglili, number 2. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was number 3. And Rabbi Akiva was number 4. Now remember that Rabbi Akiva, what?
No, this is a base of.
Base of they're coming. Okay, and remember that Rabbi Akiva was generally known as the Baal Plugta of Rabbi Yishmael. Okay, now Amar Lehem Rabbi Tarfon. Notice Rabbi Tarfon takes the lead and tells them, De'u shechacham gadolhu ubaki ba'agadot. Okay, not something that is a little, I don't want to say surprising, but insightful on the part of Rabbi Tarfon, that Rabbi Yishmael is a master of Agadita. Okay, we don't usually think of him in that context. Okay, Al yikanes echad mikem letoch divrei chaveiro. Okay, let not the words of one mix in or enter into the words of another. Okay, you want to give another little shot on that?
Because if one person says something, therefore, and the other says, well, I'm not so sure, they'll get involved, and then the Ovel would find that he would get involved.
All right, that one.
So he was saying, let's keep it simple and let's not argue with each other so that he doesn't wind up sliding into learning when he's not supposed to.
Okay.
but that's not perfect.
Yes, Bob.
It says Rabbi Tarfon is saying this about whom?
He is telling his 3 other colleagues
About
before they enter the base of them. In other words, make it direct. You must realize that whatever you're going to say, I'm going to add a little bit, add to what Michael was saying. Not only don't make it into a halachic discourse where they'll get into some discussion, which will therefore bring the avail into discussion, number 1. But also be careful we're going to see that they're going to cite a pasuk and darshan the pasuk to be able to say their tachanunim. Okay, and so we got to be. He's telling them also be careful how you darshan your pasuk too.
But we know you're not allowed to learn Torah in a base Ovel.
Primarily, you don't learn new Torah, and right. An Avel may learn aspects of Avelus in a base Avel. But if they're bringing Tachanunim, okay, he's concerned that they might bring something and somebody might say, well, but you said this, what about the following way of understanding the pasuk? And therefore they get into whole geschichte. Okay, all right. So, okay, let's go on. And now, Amar Rabbi Akiva va'ani acharon. And I will speak last. This is Rabbi Akiva. Okay? Right? Now, what happens? Patach Rabbi Yishmael. From this, I don't know if it was Art Scroll or Koren, one of them already the practice that it's the Avel who must speak first. Let them say something, and only then, afterwards, then do you begin to say something. And we're going to see a source. Gemara is going to give us a source for that practice. And that is still the halacha today, by the way. Okay? Patach Rabbi Yishmael va'amar. He says as follows, Ravu avonotav. Okay, many were their sins. He's himself. He's referring to himself. Techafuhu avelav. Doubled is his mourning. Again, remember his is euphemistic for my. Okay, and therefore my mourning is doubled. I lost both of my children. Okay, Hitriach rabotav pam rishona ushnia. As a result, I have troubled my teachers. Okay, in other words, his colleagues. Okay, not only one time but a second time. Okay, that's the implication. So in essence, so now, Na'ana Rabbi Tarfon. Notice the Gemara's lashon. He answered. Okay, in other words, he's giving his Tanchumim is going to be a response now to what Rabbi Yishmael said. Right? Sorry, Rabbi Tarchun starts, right? And he cites a pasuk. V'achechem kol beit Yisrael yivku et hasreifa. Right, referring to the Nadav ve'Avihu story, right? And he continues, V'halod varim kal v'chomer. Isn't there a kal v'chomer here? Namely, Uma Nadav ve'Avihu shelo osu ela mitzvah achat, whereas they only did one particular mitzvah, dichtiv, as it is written. So he cites his pasuk now, right? Vayakrivu b'nei Aharon et hadam elav, okay, that they offered a blood sacrifice, right? Right? Kach banav shel Rabbi Yishmael alachat kama v'chama. In other words, that the sons of Rabbi Yishmael certainly did more than just one mitzvah in their lives. Second speaker, Na'ana Rabbi Yossi Aglili. Okay, what did he say? Another citation of pasuk. This one is going to come from 1 Kings chapter 14. V'safdu lo kol Yisrael v'kavru oto. They mourned him, the entire nation, and they buried. V'halod varim kal v'chomer. Again, who are we talking about? Uma Avia ben Yerovam. That's who we're talking about in 1 Kings. Shelo asa ela davar echad tov. That he only really did one good thing. And the Gemara is going to explain it. Dichtiv bei. Why? Because it was written about him. Ya'an nimtza bo davar tov. About him it was found one thing. Kach banav shel Rabbi Yishmael al echad kama v'chama. So likewise, the sons of Rabbi Yishmael who certainly did more than one good thing in their lives. Third example, my davar. Oh, we didn't get to the third one yet. I'm sorry. What was the good thing that he did? Avia, Rabbi Zera v'Rabbi Chinana bar Papa. The two of them had a discussion on this. And what did they say? Chad amar shebitel mishmarto. Okay, va'ala l'regel. One said he put aside his own role of guardian, sentry, okay, because his father had established sentries or border control, trying to prevent people from going up on the holidays to Yerushalayim. Okay, thank you. Okay, so what happens? V'chadamar shabitel pardasaot, that he removed the guards or the sentries themselves. Okay, of his father, Shehoshiv Yerovam Aviv al Hadrachim Shalo Ya'alu Yisrael L'Regel, so that people would not go up to the Beis Hamikdash in Jerusalem. Instead, remember, he had established two animals up there, golden
He
calves.
made his own
Right,
competing.
right? Center, competing ritual center, right? Okay, which sends an important message even in our own day. Okay?
Thumbs up, let's go.
Okay, now Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is the third speaker, and he answered and gave a situation regarding King Zedekiah. Okay, B'shalom va'amar, he said, B'shalom tamut u'b'misrafot avotecha hamlachim harishonim asher hayu lefanecha kain yisrafu lach. In the places, so to speak, where they burnt and buried, they dealt with the deceased of your ancestors, so they will do for you. V'halot dvarim kal v'chomer. And certainly here things are a kal v'chomer. Umat Tzidkiyahu melech Yehuda shelo asa ela mitzvah achat. And whereas Tzidkiyahu as king of Judah only did one mitzvah, namely Shehe'ela Yirmiyah min hatit, that he brought up Jeremiah from the mud, from the plaster. In other words, he took him out of jail. Okay? Kach banav shel Rabbi Yishmael al echad kama v'chama. How much more so the sons again of Rabbi Yishmael, who certainly did more than one mitzvah. Now we get to our fourth speaker, Rabbi Akiva. Right? Okay. And now Rabbi Akiva, he said and answered and said as follows: Va'amar bayom hahu yigadel hamispad b'Yushalayim kemispad Hadad Rimon b'Bikat Megiddo. On that, yeah, on this day, there will be great eulogizing and mourning in Jerusalem, as was done regarding the mourning at Hadrimon in the valley of Megiddo. Va'amar Rav Yosef. So this is still Rabbi Akiva giving his drasha now. And it was Rav Yosef who explained it as follows: Ilmalei tirgumei dahaikra, were it not for the Aramaic targum, okay, of this particular pasuk, lo hava yadana mai ka'ama, I wouldn't know what he would be talking about. Namely, ba'idna hahu yaske mispada b'Yerushalem ki mispada da'achav bar Amri the Katil Yate Hadad Rimon Bat Varimon Ukemispad Yoshia Bar Amon the Katil Yate Paro Chagira Bebigat Megiddo. And now I'll try to translate. Ba'idna Hahu, on that occasion, Yaske Misbada B'Yerushalayim, there occurred or there was carried out in Jerusalem Kimispada, as, in other words, that same day was carried out the kind of mourning as was done when Achav bar Amre, Achav the son of Amre, the Katil Yate Hadrimon ben, who was killed by, I'm going to say it that way, Hadrimon, the son of Taberimon, and likewise similar mourning as was done when Yoshia, King Josiah bar Ammon, when he was killed by Pharaoh who was lame in the valley of Megiddo. So they're comparing one mourning to two other occasions of mourning. Okay? V'halot dvarim kal v'chomer. And here again, we see it's an example of kal v'chomer. Uma achav melech Yisrael shelo asa ela davar echad tov. And whereas Achav, okay, as king of Israel, okay, did not do except for one good thing, namely dichtiv v'hamelech hayam ma'amad b'merkava nochach aram, that the king stood up in his chariot opposite Aram. In other words, he challenged Aram, who was the major enemy of the Jewish people at the time. All right. Kach banav shel Rabbi Yishmael al echad kama v'chama. How much more so the sons of Rabbi Yishmael that they did multiple mitzvot. Now, okay, continuing. Amarle Rabba, the Rabba bar Mary. Okay. So this is a side comment. Since it was mentioned about Tzidkiyahu, somebody is mentioning now an aspect of that element, of that theme.
It says it's going to be fine.
Okay. It says, Amarle Rabba, the Rabba, he says to Rabbi Mary, Kativ Beit Tzidkiyahu. So at one point, it's written about Tzidkiyahu, B'Shalom Tamut, that he died in peace. Uktiv, but it's also written, Ve'et Einei Tzidkiyahu Iver, that the eyes of Tzidkiyahu were blinded. Okay. All right. Now, how could you? It seems to be contradictory. Amar le hachi amar Rabbi Yochanan. He said to him, "This is how Rabbi Yochanan explained it. Shemet Nebuchadnezzar biyamav, that Nebuchadnezzar died during the lifetime of Tzidkiyahu. So that wicked king, okay, at least he knew that he was punished. So in that regard, we could say that Tzidkiyahu, so to speak, died in peace. All right. Going on. Va'amar Rabba, the Rabba bar Mary again, Kativ baby Yoshiyahu. But we have another example with regards to Josiah, Yoshiyahu. Lachein hineni osifcha al avotecha ve'ene asafta al kivrotecha b'shalom. That you'll be gathered up as your fathers were and gathered to your grave in peace. Uktiv, but also it's written about Yoshiyahu, V'yoru hayorim lamelech Yoshiyahu, that the archers shot their arrows towards King Yoshiyahu. Va'amar Rav Yehuda amar Rav, and Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav, She'asa'uhu kich bara, they made him like a sieve. Okay, that's how the arrows, right? So how, again, it seems to be a contradiction. Amar lehachi, and he said to them as follows, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Shalo charav beit hamikdash b'yamav. Why? How can we say that there was some good in his life, even though, right? That his dying occurred so that he did not see the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, now we go on to a new piece. Okay, coming back to our general motif, our general theme that we were talking about, but following on the story of the death of the sons of Rabbi Yishmael in terms of being comforters. Okay, so we see the connection editorially in the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Ein menachamin risha'in lomar davar ad sheyiftach avel. Okay, we see that from that story, says Rabbi Yochanan, that the comforters are not permitted to say anything until the mourner speaks first. Shnei amar acharei chen patach Iyov et pihu. Afterwards, Job opened his mouth, vehadar v'ya'an Eliphaz haTemani. And afterwards comes the statement, and then answered Eliphaz the Yemenite. Okay. Going on, Amar Rabbi Abahu, Minayim la'avel shemesav barosh. How is it that we know that the mourner is supposed to sit at the head of the table? Okay, or front of the room. Well, that's our practice today. Okay, all right. Shnei amar, as we say, Evchar darkam ve'eshev rosh ve'eshkon kemelech begedud ka'asher avelim yinachen. Okay, now there's a problem there, says the Gemara. Given that language that you're saying, I'll choose the path, I'll sit at the head, and I'll be present like a king in front of his troop, and for the mourners that he will comfort. It says, Yinachem, he will comfort. Acharine mashma. That seems to imply that he's comforting others and not being the one to receive the comforting. That's the problem, says the Gemara. Okay, all right. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Yinachem Katib. We have to understand it as if to be, and he will be comforted. Okay. Now, going on. Mar Zutra Amar Mihacha. Mar Zutra interpreted it the same practice, but based on a different pasuk. Okay. Visar, all right, Mirzach Sruchin. Okay. And loosely translating that will be the revelry will be passed for those stretched out. Marzach ne'aseh sar l'sruchin. The one who is bitter, mar, zach, okay, or he is overwrought with grief. Okay, what happens? We say here, okay, he will become the master of those that stretched out. In other words, he will lead, he is the one that is the focus of their attention, a leader in that regard. Okay? All right. Amar Rabbi Chama bar Achanina, says Rabbi Chama bar Minayin lechatan shemei say barosh. How do we know that the groom should sit at the head of the table? Okay? Shana Amar kechatan yechaen paher. All right, as the paer, as the groom, like a one who serves in, okay, as like a coin in glory. Ma kohen barosh, af chatan barosh. The same way a kohen is at the head, so likewise the groom is at the head. For kohen gufei minalon, and on what basis do we say that the kohen is at the head? Okay, Jatana, Rabbi Shmuel, is taught in the Academy of Rabbi Shmuel. V'ki dashto, and he sanctifies it. What does that mean? L'chol davar shebekadusha.
Sanctify him.
Yeah, he becomes sanctified. Would be another way of it. Okay, how do we understand that? Okay, number one, liftoach rishon, that he has the first aliyah. He reads from the Torah first. Remember, they read their own portion. Second, ulevarech rishon, that he leads Birkat Hamazon. Third, v'lito manayafa rishon, he gets to take the first portion. Okay, in other words, he gets served first at a meal. Okay, or chooses. All right, so when you're at the smorgasbord table, you let Mel go first, or you let Sid go first. Okay, all right. Amar Rabbi Chanina, kasher yitziat neshama min haguf. It is difficult, the exodus, the leaving of the neshama from the body, like what? Ki tzipure b'fi havashat. All right, it is as difficult as a knot of rope trying to pass through the eye of a ship's rigging. Okay.
It's high friction.
Okay. Rabbi Yochanan Amar says it slightly differently. Kepeture bepi veshet. It's like thick rope or cable passing through the eye of the ship's rig.
Stop there.
Okay. No, I'm going to go a little bit further.
It's all one continuous.
Well, not quite. Va'amar Rabbi Levi bar Chaita, he says as follows: Haniftar min hamet lo yomar lo lech l'shalom. Okay, one who says, okay, who's departing from being present before the deceased, don't say lech l'shalom, go to peace. Okay, ela lech b'shalom, go in peace. Haniftar min hachai, one who departs says goodbye to a living person. Lo yomar lo, don't say to him, lech b'shalom, go in peace. Ela lech l'shalom, go to peace. And the Gemara explains, Haniftar min hamet, one departing from the deceased. Lo yomar lo lech l'shalom, don't say to him, go to peace. Ela lech b'shalom, go in peace. Shnei amar, because it says, v'ata tavo el avotecha b'shalom, that you will go toward your ancestors in peace. Haniftar min achai, one departing from the living. Lo yamar lo lech b'shalom, go in peace. Ela lech l'shalom, go to peace. Shaharei David she'amar l'shalom, because David, when he said to Avshalom, lech b'shalom, go in peace, halach v'nitla, he went and was hung. Yitro she'amar l'Moshe, Jethro says to Moshe, lech l'shalom, go to peace, halach v'hitzliach, he went and was successful. That's where we'll stop right there. And we'll pick up this afternoon. Okay.
Do we need Gemara this afternoon?
No, we have copies of the Gemara and Mishnah. Did you guys decide who was going to do the Mishnah? What do you mean, me? I don't have to do everything.
You're the one that
Yeah,
gets.
Rabbi.
Tomorrow we start.
Not
with
quite.
Gemara.
Tomorrow,
I went to California now.
Other people do
Actually,
one
come in.
mitzvah, halachas kama
Come down
v'kama.
to Miami?
You do this
Huh?
every day,
Come
and
down
now
to
you're
Florida.
doing the Mishnah Yomis
No,
too.
but-
no, actually,
How come you?
Maish is doing it.
Whatever it is,
What?
you deserve a salary.
Rabbi Green, we would be continuing up here,
When?
continuing.
As far as I know, I haven't heard anything. I did, as I told you, I spoke to Tzvi, I spoke to David about it. I haven't heard anything further.
They're very reluctant to take it back.